All right, time now for our press review. Lauren joining us in the studio. Morning to you, Deepti.
Hi, Will.
Beginning, no surprise, with Boris Johnson as the UK's new Prime Minister.
That's right. His nomination, not a surprise in itself, but it still makes for some amusing headlines today, especially from the British papers. Let's show you the Daily Telegraph. I'm the dude, it says, in fact, referring to Boris Johnson's acronym that he evoked in one of his speeches, Dude, Deliver, Unite, Defeat, Energize. The Independent sees Boris Johnson rather as a cigar-chomping Winston Churchill, the star of his own movie, in reference to the 2017 film Darkest Hour about Winston Churchill, in the same way that Churchill faced the same challenges of settling peace with the Nazis or fighting for freedom in Europe. Boris Johnson will be navigating Britain through a Brexit turning point, while the Scottish daily The National has this message for Boris Johnson: this country does not need you, echoing comments made by leader Nicola Sturgeon.
Meanwhile, the Daily Mail feeling a bit more optimistic.
Well, the Daily Mail says that a Brexit-weary nation is hoping Johnson will bring us sunshine. It notes the burst of optimism that came with his landslide victory, even if admittedly Johnson does face a, quote, daunting in-tray, which includes leaving the EU by the end of October with just a tiny majority in the Commons. Johnson's new appointment was, quote, politely welcomed by Europe's leaders. That's what the Belgian paper L'Echo says, evoking Bojo's first 100 days, which will, of course, be about getting out of the EU. The Italian daily La Repubblica likening Boris Johnson to the Trump of England, it says on its front page. In fact, there are a lot of similarities between the two leaders, at least for this cartoonist Jim Moran from the Miami Herald, who sees baby blimp Trump kind of happy now that he has a playmate on the world stage.
Yeah, I could say twins there almost. Here in France, a bill on bioethics will be presented and debated in the fall.
Yeah, and it's a controversial bill because it's been years in the making. A key proposition of this bill will be extending subsidized medically assisted procreation to all women, including single women and lesbian couples. The other big issue will be allowing French women to freeze their eggs in France, as opposed to what many of them are doing now, which is traveling to Belgium or Spain, where it is illegal. It's time for decisions. That's what La Croix, the Catholic paper, says on its front page. That paper warning against pitting the pro and anti groups against each other, and really a repeat of the divisions that we saw, for instance, from the gay marriage bill. The complexity of life calls for something other than that, in which people are doubling down on their views. That's what La Croix's editors say. Spain, in particular, has benefited from the international recipients of its egg freezing program with great economic benefits. So Politico says France's reluctance when it comes to these issues reflects a broader resistance to see healthcare as a business as opposed to being a subsidized public service as it's seen now.
And staying in France, some of the papers giddy with coverage of the Tour de France.
That's right. There's just 4 days until the race ends in Paris, and two Frenchmen, Julien Alaphilippe and Thibaut Pinot, are well placed for a final victory. It would be a much awaited French victory, Will, the last one coming 34 years ago. The prospect of a French winner has revived public enthusiasm. Tout bleu, tout flamme, l'équipe says, a play on words of the French phrase tout feu, tout flamme, which means to be excited about something.
Something I'm excited about, Deepti. We were talking about this before. Tom Cruise's Top Gun sequel has gotten a lot of attention recently, but you spotted a noticeable political wardrobe change.
That's right. I know you're super excited about the sequel. You made me watch it as well with the trailer. Top Gun is coming out next year. The trailer dropped last week, but some hawk-eyed fans have noticed that Maverick's leather jacket has changed. The patches actually have changed. In the original, his patches featured Japanese and Taiwanese flags. These have been replaced by some similar-looking patches for its new version. Could it be because there was Chinese backing for the film and that Beijing, of course, opposes Taiwanese independence, or is it just that Maverick has been forced to cave under Chinese pressure?
Ooh, intrigue continues. All right, thank you very much, Deepti. I will be watching that movie regardless of what patches are on the back.